License Review Board meeting. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call
Chairman Anthony DiTalia.
here.
Board Member Anne Marie Fulham.
Here.
Board Member Mark Shippert.
Here.
Board Member Brian DeSessa is absent or late.
Okay. Can I get approval for the January meeting minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Annie, second by Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
I got abstain, I wasn't here. Okay, so approved. Hearings, first hearings we have. I'm gonna go into hearings right away. Bloomberg and Flanders sheet metal. Actually, I wanna wait, is he coming?
I haven't heard from him. If we can put them last. There isn't that
Okay.
much. The next
Yeah, I'm gonna
one,
call you last, please. That's the only hearing we have?
no, we have Mr. and Mrs. Stein versus Good Guys Contracting. They've requested an adjournment
Right, okay, I
to
see.
March.
Okay, Mrs. and Mrs. Stein here?
They've asked for an adjournment
No, it's
They
adjourned.
asked for an adjournment.
until March. So I
Till
just
March.
need an approval on that.
I'll make a motion to
Is-
approve.
Is Good Guys here? No,
They were both
okay.
sent letters
Okay.
requesting that.
We have a motion to adjourn it till March from Annie, all in favor of that?
I'll second it.
Second by Mark, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, so moved. We'll put that off till March. Okay, Flanders, we're gonna have to wait a few minutes. I know I have a lawyer here for DeMarco.
Good morning. For the applicant, Michael Simlensky of counsel to the Bennett Casa Group, 860 Montauk Highway, Waterville, New York. Good morning, members of the board, counsel.
Good morning. Your client said that he never had a license in Southampton, but he did.
I think that he was confused in regards to the question. He thought he was talking about under that name, and not under the previous name of the previous corporation.
Okay, so he realized on the application, he said no, but,
Yeah, so we recognize that, and we're more than happy to fix the application to say yes, that he previously had a license.
okay. And that was the only issue that we had that I know of. Anybody you have anything else that you wanted?
No, we're obviously just looking to have his license issued.
Okay, any questions?
No.
No? No? Okay. We'll
Okay,
be voting on it today.
great, thank you.
Yep, thank you for coming in. Okay, what other ones we have here?
What's the number of DeMarco?
Hmm?
Can I see this?
That's DeMarco. Landscape. Do we have Landscape and Masonry Corporation, Pinto? No? This is the one we're waiting for the deposition?
That would be correct. So a letter was issued the last month, and we have yet to hear from them.
What's your pleasure on this one?
To table it for 30 days.
We asked them to give us a deposition, and they have not gotten back to us. We want to approve it, disapprove it,
So make a motion to table it for 30 days, to bring it up in March. Give them a-
table it for another 30 days. Motion,
Or a second?
huh?
I'll second it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
What is that
Aye.
number, Tony?
All opposed? So moved. We'll table it for 30 days. I have an application here for Gainer Construction. Gainer Construction.
Is that this month's
Anybody here
application?
from Gainer? He said, on the application, just for the board's information, he put down that he had a complaint, but it's not with our office, and we have not got anything from the county. So, there's a renewal,
No, it's a renewal.
yeah.
Do you have any more details on this one? No. So we don't have any information to determine
We have nothing to determine.
whether, I don't think that's putting us at risk, isn't it?
It's a renewal. I think we should renew it. It's not without,
Do
we
we
have
still-
no, the county didn't notify us.
Oh, that's what you, okay.
Right. We have no complaint on file here.
I agree.
Okay.
It's on the
We can
renewal.
appro- So
I'm just bringing it up.
is it highlighted on the renewals?
So we'll renew it when it comes time to renew that application. New applications, we still going through them,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah.
Okay. At this point, I know Flanders, who's here for Flanders? Flanders Sheet Meller?
Yeah,
And Mr. Bloomberg here?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Anthony, would it be possible to, if we could just do Winter Brothers? That was from last
What
month, that
happened?
was held over.
Winter Brothers, we
It's
had,
fine.
oh, you
We were
moved it
gonna
over.
approve
So
that, yeah.
I need a motion on that.
Okay,
You might wanna have the discussion about DeMarco, and then we can do plumbing renewal and then new plumbing for approval.
well, DeMarco,
Giving Brian enough time to get back here before we start the hearing, please.
Do you wanna do this in sequence, or we're doing these random?
is that Winters? You took
No,
Winters?
this is Winters, it's fine, I
Okay.
just wanna look for the license number, 249,
Okay,
22002.
and Winters, what was, we pulled Winters
All right, so
for,
we made a motion, so I'll make a motion to approve Winter Brothers Hauling of Long Island LLC. Need a second, because we approved Pintos.
I'll second
we have a motion to approve Winter Brothers, second by Mark, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. That's approved. Okay, DeMarco.
So this one's done. We have to make a motion.
I have
Decision on it.
DeMarco, where I do with DeMarco, I put him someplace.
He's got it right there.
Who?
Here you go.
Oh, you got it.
That's right in the number.
Okay, we got DeMarco Brothers. What's your pleasure on issuing a license?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? This is the one that Sean just told us
that.
about.
Okay.
You second it?
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So move. At this point, I think we need to make a motion to suspend the license. Is that right?
Is there a second, or you need a second on your motion? If you're making that?
I know. We had a second, to approve the license.
So you approved it.
Right,
Just put it
now
on the record.
we want to.
If you're making any other motion, you need another second.
Right, I need a second on suspending the license.
Can I be heard? On suspending the license?
Can he be
Right.
In
heard?
just in just a moment.
We had a motion, do I have a second on the suspension?
We're gonna state the reason for the suspension.
Excuse me?
Are we stating the reason for the suspension?
The reason for the suspension is,
Yeah, you should.
waiting for information from the fire marshal, is that correct? Waiting for information on the fire marshal. I don't have a second yet.
No, I'll second
We have a second.
Can we have discussion?
Go ahead.
So, under the town code, the board does not have the jurisdiction to suspend a license without a public hearing. So a public hearing has to be noticed for this board in order for this board to suspend a license pursuant to the code. So any action to suspend his license today after it's been granted is not properly before the board because it requires a public hearing. That being said, if you're waiting for something, there's no basis upon which to suspend a license based upon waiting for information from an agency of the town.
Okay. Sean?
Mike, the board wants you to amend the application, so that, I don't believe they've actually,
No, the application was just granted. His license was just granted in a vote. So now you're trying to suspend his license, and the board does not have the power to suspend his license without a public hearing pursuant to the 143. I can. If you bear with me a second. to both suspend or revoke a license, both require a public hearing on notice.
I'll make a motion.
Schedule it.
I could rescind the motion. Is that the case?
You could, or you could schedule the public hearing right now. and
Okay, well-
Move to suspend.
I'll rescind that we'll rescind that motion, and wait, and we'll have a public hearing next month.
Well, let's make a motion to hold the public hearing.
Motion, to hold the public hearing. Got a second
Your
on
next
that?
meeting date.
On that,
Second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Okay.
Aye. All opposed?
So he currently has a license, and we'll have a
Right.
hearing, we'll have a
He has
hearing
a-
date in
On
March.
their next meeting date.
Okay.
We'll issue the license next month. Hopefully, we'll have the information we need, and we'll have a public hearing.
Okay, and,
Okay.
and will we have notice, will we have notice of the
You'll get a
basis
written-
upon suspension?
Yeah, you'll get a written scheduling notice.
And that will include the chart, either
Well,
the charges or
we
the.
don't have, we're not suspending the license now.
Well,
We'll have-
You're holding
We're
a
holding a
hearing.
public hearing next month,
for potential for suspension.
and at that
Yes.
point, we'll make a decision on we suspend it or not.
You'll receive a written notice with the ground.
Okay, the grant, that's what I'm looking for. Okay,
Yep.
thank you all, have a good
No
day.
problem.
Take care. Okay.
Before we move forward, license has been approved. We have now scheduled a public hearing for March 8th. Anthony made the motion, who seconded?
Mark,
Mark,
Thank you,
all in favor?
thank you. Just for the record.
that needed to be approved so we could have a hearing.
Who?
That needed to be approved so we could have a hearing. I
Okay.
just said that needed to be approved so we had the jurisdiction to have the hearing.
Yes.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just saying.
So that's DeMarco's, Winter Brothers, Pinto, that's been taken care of.
Okay,
You wanna do the renewals? And new, the renewal application for plumbing and new applications for plumbing. Give you a little more
Yeah.
time for,
okay.
Okay.
Sorry, Flanders,
We've
we'll,
also got the folks here for, the suspension. You ordered them to appear here today to see if this board is gonna take any further action. On the last meeting date, you approved a 30-day suspension. So their counsel's here today, ready to speak to the board if need be.
Which one is this again?
That
No, I
was
don't
the
think so.
Oppenheimer.
We suspended for 30 days. I don't know.
Right, the letter went out saying they should appear here today to see if you would take any further action.
right.
If the board does not intend to take any further action, the suspension was the final action. If we could address them so that their counsel could, get out of here for the day.
Yeah,
Oh, up behind the council
Yes,
is here?
their attorneys are here.
Oh, okay.
but I think it was the final action, was the suspension for 30
We
days.
suspended it for 30 days.
Yes,
You
Yes.
sent a letter telling them to be here today.
Right, okay.
okay, there was no.
Do you want to address us?
I do.
Okay.
Good morning, board members, Mr. Cambridge. My name is Brian Lewis. I'm the attorney for Hampton Cedar from the law firm Lewis Joes. So to Mr. Cambridge's point, we are here today pursuant to the letter. The letter indicates that we were to appear and address the suspension and make an application, I guess, for reinstatement. Frankly, my read of the town code is that, based on the letter and the suspension for 30 days, that by operational, it will be back and valid as of the expiration of the 30 days. I'm not sure a board vote is necessary. I defer to you all. If to the extent a board vote is necessary, we do make the application now then that the license be renewed, or the suspension be lifted and the license be made active again effective February 10th, which I believe is the 30 days from it. Just by way of background here, Mr. Jara received the January 26th letter on the 2nd. He appeared here on the 3rd to hand in his license. He has abided by the board's determination and has suspended activities in the town pending the expiration of the timeframe. Notwithstanding, obviously, he doesn't necessarily agree with the findings, but he has honored them. And so we would ask confirmation that it's going to be reinstated on the 10th.
Okay.
Make that motion if you're inclined, or.
Motion, we can make a motion.
Yeah.
Motion to lift the
Reinstate.
suspension after 30 days.
Yes, that after the 30-day suspension is up, the
We'll-
license will be reinstated, please.
Reinstated.
Okay. I do have a second application that I'd like to make.
Well,
Let's
wait.
just get a vote on that quick. So you have a motion
We got a
second.
motion, we got a
Does it carry?
second on that?
Yeah, all in favor, aye, yes.
Yeah, second, Anne Marie, all in favor, aye.
That's
All
normal
so
procedure, is
moved.
it
So
not?
Okay,
Be lifted in 30 days.
Thank you. So I do have a second application I'd like to make with regard to the modification of the grounds upon which this was issued. If we were talking, and I do appreciate that the board appears to have tried to calibrate the impact of the 30-day suspension on our client by making it effective on the 11th. And so we absolutely, my client appreciates that. I do as well. And if we were only talking about the days, I would have shut up already and walked away. But it's not just the days here. The nature and the basis of this suspension is going to create significant issues for, I believe, my client, and I don't believe it was founded. In particular, I'm referring to this finding that my client was not of good character, untrustworthy, and at one point in the letter it says he was not of good moral character, which frankly is not even in the town code. That is one of the bases for suspension here. The other was abandonment of the project, and respectfully, the records indicated that the project was a significant renovation. All COs were issued. All necessary requirements for her to move in were met. She took possession and was living in the home. And what we were talking about were a bathroom that had a leak, some punch list items, and some exterior siding that had not been completed, but it was because there was going to be an installation of an awning. And we addressed that during the hearing and indicated that those were all items that would have been done. We had offered to go in and inspect it, but two things happened. One, Mrs. Oppenheimer terminated us and said we're not to come back. So it was not a matter of abandonment, it was a matter of we were not permitted to come back. And a second issue there, which I don't think the board maybe really considered, was there was a significant amount of non-payment for both to my client and also to various subs that Mrs. Oppenheimer had retained directly. And so this was not a situation where they had abandoned a home mid-construction and they were unable to move in. This was a situation of punch list items and a bona fide and I think good faith dispute on both sides about the obligations under the contract. And that's where I come down on this. That is my day job. I do commercial litigation for a living, and we fight over contracts all the time. That is what was before the board was a good faith dispute on both sides about their obligations under the agreement. I don't think any of the facts that were brought here warranted a determination by the board that my client was not trustworthy or that he lacked moral character, because these are things that. These are labels that cannot be cavalierly thrown about. This is going to stick with my client. He's been operating in this town and in this industry for 15 or more years, I believe, without a complaint. This is the first time he's been here. And to have come here on these circumstances in frankly, a dispute with a homeowner, and to have left it with a label that he's untrustworthy and not of good character, I have a problem with. I think it's outrageous. I ask that the board reconsider that aspect of the determination. This is not an instance of fraud. This is not an instance of lying to the homeowner. This is not an instance of misuse of funds. This is not an instance of criminal activity or theft. Nothing that would bear a hallmark of not of good character. The basis, it seems like, was the communications, which I'm not quite sure I understand, but it says that the basis for the finding that there was not good character was the lack of communication and management personnel's communications to the homeowner. We had provided to the board, it was like a telephone book-sized translations of text messages back and forth with the homeowner, evidencing the communications. We had also provided to the board her email communications terminating us and saying don't come back. And so, respectfully, I think I asked the board to modify the grounds upon which it has issued this determination to remove references to the character of our client, also to remove references to the abandonment of the property. I don't think either of those were founded. The third basis was inferior work, effectively. We take issue with that as well. Miss Oppenheimer was not a contractor. She came in and showed pictures of a bathroom floor that was in the process of being fixed. She did not submit an affidavit from any contractor. She's not a contractor. There's no expert here to testify about this. And again, all the COs were issued for all of this work. So there was no evidentiary basis, in my opinion, for any of that finding to have been made. But if that is the sole finding, that is the basis for this suspension, we will go on our way. If we cannot, and the board declines our application to modify, as I mentioned at the very first hearing here, I believe the board did not properly notice this hearing from the outset under 143-12B. We received a notice stating simply that we were coming into a hearing to, quote, review a complaint. That does not meet the requirements of the law. The law states that it has to be specifically identified that it is, the purpose of the hearing is to consider suspension or revocation, and we need specific grounds that we're being charged with so we can respond. That was never done. I raised that at the first hearing. We went forward with the hearing that date with my objection to reservation rights as to that issue. I believe that makes this entire proceeding and the suspension itself challengeable in court if I had to go there. And again, we're not looking to do that. We're not looking to go in that direction. But those procedural issues from the start, that I have done in the past. Those, I believe, are grounds for us to seek to have this thing overturned. And then we have these substantive issues that I just raised in terms of what the evidence actually showed and what Ms. Oppenheimer came with in terms of expert testimony. There was none. In terms of abandonment, she had terminated us. So we have those grounds that I can't allow a finding that he lacks moral character to go undisturbed. I just want to emphasize that has real life ramifications. As I said, he's been doing business in this town for many years. He's had occasion on in periods to be in lawsuits and have to sue to recoup some monies that he's owed. This public finding will now be thrown at him in every case that he ever has in the future. There are insurance company requirements potentially here, where he has to now notify his insurance carrier that there was this finding. That's going to have real life implications on him. So it's one thing to say, hey, there was a bathroom that was done defectively and we're going to suspend you based on that. It's another thing entirely to accuse somebody of abandoning a property or being of not good moral character. And so I make this application now to ask that the board reconsider and revise the basis for the issuing of the suspension.
Okay, we will take that under advice. We will discuss it, and we'll notify you next month.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now, is he correct when he said that we didn't notify him that the purpose of the hearing is to suspend or revoke a license?
That's not our position. Several notices were sent out administratively. At least one of them did include the suspension term.
Right, I thought that's the only power we have is to suspend or revoke.
Yes, and the letters that we received up all the way until the point of the hearing all said simply that it was to review the complaint. I had email corresponded with the board and the administration of the board asking specifically what are the grounds. Articulate for me the grounds and the factual basis that the board is looking at to make the revocation. And all I got in response was town code. And respectfully, that's not enough. We need to be, it's like charging somebody with a crime. You got to be specific in terms of what the conduct is that you're complaining about and what you believe that conduct rises to the level of being guilty, because that's what the town code says, guilty of a violation of the code here. And it was never articulated in any written communication from the
Okay,
board.
well, we'll review that.
Okay,
Normally speaking, we always make that known that our job is, we only have the ability to revoke or suspend. Now, as far as the reasons why we're going to revoke or suspend, we don't know that until we have a hearing. So we have to have the hearing to determine what the complaint's all about. That's why the hearing, we had to have a hearing.
yeah, but in my view, respectfully, and just
Well, I'm not a
disagreement-
lawyer, but
Yeah,
you're a lawyer.
yeah,
I'm
think-
only saying, we can't make a judgment on what we're gonna suspend it or revoke it until we find the details out.
And that to me is the crux of the problem. The board's the board's initial role here is to review the complaint made by whomever is making the complaint.
Right.
And determine if, on its face, if everything in that is true, it would rise to the level of a violation that could warrant a suspension. And once that determination is met, then that notice letter goes out and says, hey, this woman has made these complaints about your work at this project. If they are true, we believe this conduct, and this conduct constitutes a violation of this part of the code, this part of the code, this part of the code. Come in for a public hearing, and we will go through that. It can't be show up. We're gonna ask the homeowner to tell us all the complaints, and we have to respond on the fly. That's not the way this is supposed to work, I believe, under the town code, and under other towns in which I've had to deal with this.
I will talk
Yeah.
it over with the town attorney.
I
to see.
understand your position, the board's position is that you were noticed and forwarded a copy of the complaint with the applicable town code section. They will review it and we'll speak and
Okay.
get back to you.
Okay, and again, we're not asking, we're asking for a modification on those grounds. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
next up.
Let's do renewals quick. Home improvement renewals, we have 81. I have one here that I brought up before,
These are the ones for Brian.
Gainer Construction, which I want to include in the renewals here.
It's on there. It's on
It's
the
on
list.
there? Okay.
Yep.
What's your pleasure on renewals? 81. A motion to approve them?
Let me just see if we,
Yes?
yes.
Who made the
Motion.
motion?
Go ahead and I'll second
I'll
it.
make the motion.
Mark made a motion, seconded by Annie.
Yeah.
All in favor, aye. All opposed, so moved.
All 81? All 81?
All 81.
Thank you.
New applications for plumbing, we have 2. What's your pleasure on them?
One, there's 3 there, no?
Registration for plumbing.
No, the new plumbing registrations?
New plumbing.
Is there 2 or 3?
There's-
3.
You
There's
have 2
asterisk.
written.
Oh,
That was
okay.
a note just to let me know that I did receive his new card.
Okay, we have
No.
3.
Yeah, the agenda says 2. Okay,
Motion,
we'll make a motion to approve 3 new
Second.
plumbing registrations.
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, so moved. Plumbing renewal registrations, we have 9.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Anne Marie, motion, second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, so moved. Okay,
We discussed that.
that's done. Next order of business, I guess, what's his name is coming, huh?
Right.
I had no response from him.
Yeah, you try to call.
I texted him.
You want to look, oh, you're looking at applications?
Yeah, I have to look at these,
I got
I'm
it.
sorry.
Okay.
I'll-
No, we'll do it afterwards. Okay. Flanders Sheet Metal.
It's Flanders Heating and Air Conditioning.
Flanders Heating and Air Conditioning, sorry.
Thank you.
You have both parties?
Yes.
Both parties are here. Just,
Should we-
Mr. Bloomberg, would you like to come first?
By the way, I'd asked my wife to join. She may want to add a few things. And she's on the web. She's logged into the Zoom. So I'm not sure if that's technically possible. No, it's okay.
Well, you could ask Charles, right? You could ask Charles.
Yeah.
Tony.
He should be able to hear.
Charles, is Miss Bloomberg on the web?
Get to be sworn in?
Yes.
Thank you.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Lawrence Blumberg. Local address is 24 Bridge Hill Lane.
Great.
Yeah.
And do you swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth, with knowledge or penalty?
I do. Thank
Please
you.
begin.
How would you like to proceed?
The chairman will
Go ahead.
direct you.
Well, you testified before.
Yep.
Right? Is there anything new that you want to add to your testimony?
Well, I saw the response several days ago, the position statement from Flanders, and disappointing. It doesn't address any of the real issues at hand. It really just makes it about how long they've been in business, and, you know, they must have been doing a good job during that time to remain in business, although the company's a different company than it was. But they also make these allegations about behavior, which has been an issue that we had when we were with them, and frankly, it really goes both ways. They were, frankly, I didn't really bring this up in many of my testimony originally, because I think it's kind of unnecessary to get into who's arguing with who. I do think that they were dismissive to us. They were rude to us, they were rude to me, they were rude to my wife. But that's not what this case is about. This case is about the facts and what they did. And I think I was put in a position over a long period of time of having to micromanage them and see their problems and identify their problems. And when they submitted this historical list of all the work that they had completed, if you really read it, you'll see what was really going on. I don't even know if they really read their own record, because, and I didn't bring these things, I knew these things when I come to the court the first time, but they seem to be somewhat petty, although they are substantive. If you look at the facts of what I've presented, there were several cases, innumerable cases, even from that subset of work orders that I found, that there were at least a half a dozen floods that were occurring in my basement because of problems with filter pumps or a humidifier or holes in the system. One time, 2 times, I get it. But it happened over and over again. I identified it. I had to tell them. And then there was the issue of when they did the furnace install, they left a complete mess. And I pleaded with them, and I was angry at them at the time. And they had to come in, and it's documented in their record, in fact, coming back to fix all the things that I told them to fix, including moving the exhaust for that toxic furnace fumes to the chimney, because they had it exhausting right below my first floor living room window, which is not safe. And that was not okay, and I had to figure that out. I, as a physician, and not trained in their business, had to figure out that that was toxic. And that is not safe for me and my family. So I think I've clearly laid out, in the original complaint, the list of frank code violations and issues that just should not have been done with a qualified vendor, which they represent themselves to be. You know, my wife, you know, look, I don't want to make this about behavior, because that's not what this is about. And my wife surely can testify in terms of the day-to-day interaction with them and how difficult it was. But I'd like to focus on the facts, which they failed to do here. They have not spent any time doing any substantive work to address the specific issues. So I'm troubled, and I frankly, it's maybe even less about me than about a company operating in this community that has this degree of inadequacies and negligence in their work. Maybe I'm so meticulous and I'm so careful and I'm so thorough to look at things, because that's the way I do things in my life. And I've got the chutzpah to come here and tell you all these stories. But I really think the board needs to take some action here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I think it's time we hear from Flanders.
Was Mrs. Bloomberg
Excuse me?
on
Yeah,
Zoom?
she was on. I don't know, let me see if she was hearing all that.
What if it's-
Same-
if
same
it's-
party.
But if a testimony is gonna be about the way the conversation was or abuse, I don't need to hear that.
Okay,
Okay, great.
understood.
If
Great.
that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, that she just.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
that's something that,
Yeah.
Counsel, if you could just put your appearance to the record?
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning, Lee Mendelson Law Firm PLLC, 367 Butter Lane, Bridgehampton. I'm here today representing Flanders. I'm joined today by Flanders Operations Manager Frank Bonacasso, as well as Flanders General Manager Roy Overton. The reason why the response laid out the history of Flanders is because it's relevant here.
This is, to the best of my knowledge, the first time Flanders has been called before the licensing board. Flanders is not litigious. Flanders does not have consumer affairs complaints against it, with the exception of Dr. Blumberg. They've been in this community for 69 years. They employ 55 people. Each one of those, their employees has a background check. They're drug tested. They are in uniform. They have ID cards. They're trained, and their training is continuous. And they go through a probationary period. Flanders is a licensed, authorized Lennox service company, and they have been throughout this entire proceeding. This is an improper, in my opinion, improper purpose of the use of the licensing board, because what you have here is a civil dispute. You don't have a licensing dispute here. The reason why we couldn't address things more substantively in many of these things is these happened years ago. This isn't something that happened in the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. You're talking about things that happened in 2019. And may have started even before that, 2018, 2017. The reason why the service history is annexed to the response is to show the board that between the years of 2011 and 2019, Flanders appeared at Dr. Blumberg's home 111 times. 111 times in 8 years. Now, perhaps it's not meticulousness as the Dr. Blumberg has testified to. Perhaps it's a bit of hypochondria, as we believe the case may be. Over and over, and each of those times, Flanders showed up, they looked at the system. On many of those cases, Flanders couldn't find anything wrong with the system. They continued to be an authorized service provider of Lennox. And how do I know that this is an improper purpose to be before the board? Because the very first thing that the doctor puts in his complaint is how much money he's owed. Now, I know that the board doesn't have authority to issue a monetary judgment. This is not the place for that. We've been through this for years. Several years ago, Dr. Blumberg made a complaint to the to the Board of Consumer Affairs. At that time, while we disputed the complaint for the purposes of appeasing Dr. Blumberg, Flanders first offered Dr. Blumberg a reimbursement of his service contract in the amount of almost $1,900. Again, this is not a company that Flanders I'm talking about, that doesn't stand by its work, that disappears. These are not a couple of guys with a magnetic sign on the back of a van who this board, rightfully so, should look very closely at. The reimbursement of his service contract was insufficient for Dr. Blumberg. So what did he do? He told Consumer Affairs how much money he demanded, $6,000. After discussions, my discussions with Flanders, internal discussions with Flanders, against their better judgment, because these are things that they don't do, they wrote a check for $6,000. They paid it to Consumer Affairs years ago. Understand, this is not of recent ilk. This is from 3 years ago we're talking about now. For whatever reason, Dr. Blumberg decided not to cash the check, that it was insufficient, despite the fact, and you can see the emails between Consumer Affairs and myself concerning this matter. Consumer Affairs thought the matter was settled, and suddenly, in November of 2022, we received a complaint made to the licensing board for matters which occurred years ago. One of the issues that we have, we want to talk about factual issues, is that during the while this was going on, Dr. Blumberg decided to invite other HVAC contractors to go into the system. Once that happens, Flanders has a big problem because we don't know what action other HVAC contractors may take in an attempt to repair the system. We have no idea. We weren't there. We don't know what they tinkered with. We don't know what they replaced. We don't know what they did. But we do know that Dr. Blumberg, after someone else visited, decided to blame Flanders for whatever it is he perceived to have been done improperly. It's unfair of Flanders to have to be here years later, years, not months, to try and defend itself for matters which occurred way back in 2019. We're 4 years down the road at this point, and now we're before the board. And while I won't dwell on it, I will say that in life, every one of us, I would gather to bet, has had a difficult client. As a lawyer, I have them. We have them over time. Dr. Blumberg was extraordinarily difficult, to the point where, in the first time ever in my years of representation of Flanders, they asked me to intervene and to come up with a system by which, if there were issues with the system, that because of Dr. Blumberg's abusive behavior and abusive language to just phone operators for Flanders, that we came up with a system whereby it was the doctor's wife who would make the phone calls if there was going to be a problem to avoid that abuse. I would respectfully submit to this board that given the length of time that has gone by between when these actions occurred, the fact that there's no history of Flanders being before this board in I don't know if it's all of 69 years, but I can tell you that it's certainly in the 5 years before this incident and the 5 years after this incident, that this appears to be nothing more than a civil dispute regarding reimbursement of certain funds that, by the way, we thought was settled. That in reviewing the items by which this licensing board can deem a company to be in violation of its license, that none of those items can be found, and that the time since the matter occurred to today puts Flanders in the unenviable position of trying to recreate something that occurred 4 years ago. And so I respectfully request that this board make no finding as against Flanders.
I have one question.
Sure.
Dr. Bloomberg said the exhaust was going out under a window. What year was that?
It would have been 2019.
And why was it installed under the window? Was that according to code? Or according to the manufacturer's?
I
spec?
personally don't know. I do know that there are notes in the service record that say things were installed per manufacturer's recommendation. Now, we know what it's like to work in this, in the town of Southampton, as well as the surrounding towns. Flanders has the privilege of working on both forks in East Hampton as well as Riverhead and east of that. And they work with some of the most difficult clients in some of the most expensive real estate in the world. And sometimes a client may want something that's beyond manufacturer's recommended specifications for whatever reason. And they usually accommodate them at this point.
Well, that's not my question.
I understand.
My question is, which I think is correct, it's illegal to do that under a window, to exhaust
Yeah, within 10 feet.
carbon monoxide under a window.
Yeah, but it's not,
If Flanders could answer that question, or somebody could answer that question, I just want to know why it was installed that way, and making it accommodating to the customer is not the correct answer.
No, I understand.
Okay.
While we have the operations manager and the general manager of Flanders here today, because this was obviously of
Well, that's what
of importance to them, they were not the operations or general managers at the time of this 4 years ago, and that those parties have actually retired and gone off to greener pasture. So anything that they say can only be based upon the service records, which is why it was in here. And I will note that within the service records, there are many instances where you will see things where it says it's within the manufacturer's specifications, and they've gone ahead and changed it.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Bloom,
May I add that the whole,
go
I'm
ahead.
just gonna stop you.
Please
Just go to
come
the
up forward.
Brian, or you want to put it over once for Brian to come back, since he's been the point
I
person?
can't hear you.
do I need to swear myself in again?
No, you're already sworn
Yeah.
in.
So I would add that the hole that they drilled in the wall below the window is still there. They had to pull that out. I was angry at the time, like, you drilled a hole in my wall, now I've got an extra hole in my wall.
Okay, what year was that?
That was when they did the install in 2016.
2016 now?
2016,
Okay. Right, you answered the question.
correct.
My question to Flanders, right, now I know Flanders was sold. What year did your client take over?
Did we take over 2000 and, end of 2021?
21.
Only 18 months ago.
So this was the previous owners did this install. Am I correct? Only
Yeah,
being a local guy out here, I knew that it was sold.
Yes.
And so the previous owners did this work that we're bringing the new owners in front of us.
That appears to be the case,
Okay.
although I would counter all these.
I'm only trying to get the facts, that's all.
The timing issues, I'd have to give you a rebuttal to that, I don't know if you want me to, but, yeah. Just all the timing and these, his arguments about the time, it's not appropriate, I want to really,
Okay.
I'd like an opportunity to rebut that.
Okay, well, I just wanted to get that cleared up
Make
in-
a motion.
to the board. Okay, anybody have any questions besides what I just asked?
No.
No?
Do you, want to hold it over to make a decision?
No, I think
We're gonna
With
hold off
Brian.
the decision, we have to review. I wanna
What-
review.
what Brian as well.
Who?
Brian, it was his case.
I don't think
Correct?
so.
It wasn't Brian's case?
Yeah, but I don't think we need.
No,
we can make
we're
a
just gonna
decision.
hold, we're gonna,
No, we can make a decision.
I think we should hold it.
we're gonna hold it, and I wanna
You wanna
review
hold it?
more of it.
Yes.
All right, so we need a motion on the floor for any action and a second.
I would make a motion to make a decision.
Huh? That's your
No, I
privilege.
understand, I understand.
You have a motion, you wanna make a motion to what?
No, I think that we could make a decision. I don't think there's a need to wait anymore. This case has been on for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm open for a motion,
To make a decision,
if that's what
to
you wanna
discuss
do.
it. Well,
I honestly prefer to meet,
sorry?
I would like to have a discussion with Brian as well, before, because I think be more informed. So I would like to table it for 30 days, the decision till next month.
Okay.
All right, so if somebody can make a motion on the
Make a
floor. then-
motion. Somebody make a motion.
In my view, I don't think, I think there's definitely a dispute between the parties, but I'm not sure that it's a dispute that involves the license. I think it's a dispute of quality of the work, of issues with the work, but I'm not sure it's issue.
Are you making a motion? No.
I'd like to make,
Are you making a motion, or you're not?
I'd like to make a motion to dismiss the complaint. if,
To dismiss it?
yeah, I think.
Is
it
there a
doesn't-
second?
It doesn't rise, in my view, I think there's no question that point, but it doesn't rise to the
Okay,
the issue of a.
just
a license
state your
issue.
motion. Your motion is to dismiss the complaint.
The motion is that having heard the parties and reviewed the record, I believe that the motion should be dismissed, yes.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to dismiss the complaint. Do we have a second?
I don't want to second it at this time,
No
because I
second.
want to have a conversation with you. I want to
Uh,
discuss it more,
We
so.
don't have a second.
Motion fails.
So
Okay,
I would like to make a motion, we hold it over till next month,
fine. Okay.
and we'll make a decision next month.
Is there a second?
So
Do
I'll
I have a
second
second
that.
on that?
Yes, I'll second that.
I have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
I'll make a proposal.
Motion carried.
Motion passes. We'll hold it over to next month. We'll,
Am I allowed to add a comment?
excuse,
Not at this time.
we'll let you know what our decision is. Okay?
Well, do we have to appear next month? That's only.
You don't have to appear next month.
It's your
unless-
choice. If you don't require them, that's fine.
You don't have to appear next month.
Yeah, if you
We're
want
gonna
to
review it.
I mean,
We're gonna review it and make our decision next month. Okay? We just wanna go through some of the facts here. Okay?
The board also does broadcast on Zoom if you're inclined.
No, we can be here next month. I just wanted to know if it was mandatory that we.
No, it's not.
Can I have a date for next month's meeting?
March 8th.
March 8th. Thank you for coming in, both parties.
Thank you.
Okay. Last
All
order.
that's left is new applications.
I gotta finish looking at mine.
What?
New
All that's
applications.
left are new
I know, I'm trying to get them done.
Hang
Okay,
out with Mark.
let's do new applications.
I have to
Are you
finish
done,
my
Mark, with
20.
your applications?
I'm not, sorry.
Well,
Tony.
hurry up.
I'm gonna, as fast as I can.
Were you here for something?
New application, sir. Good morning.
What's your name?
My name is Manuel Montes from Musa Interiors.
From what?
Musa Interiors.
Yeah, I think I have.
Okay. We got, you,
His application number is 23.
okay, your application's here. Okay, we're waiting for, we gotta finish reviewing them.
Oh, okay.
What's his application number?
What's the
You
number?
gotta go?
I have to meet with you.
Haley, what's the
Okay,
number?
go ahead.
Thank you.
It's
Nice talking to you.
23,021.
McFredman.
I don't have that one.
It's in the file here someplace.
Yeah, 21 is the last four digits.
What's the number?
21,
23,
the last two
21?
digits are 21.
Application 21. I got 6 here.
No, 23 is not him. I think it's 22, no?
It's, well, we'll, maybe in here, I don't know. 21, you said?
Yeah.
35.
23,000,21.
I have,
Mark has
Mark
it.
has it.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's good. Okay, mine
Our
are-
landscapers. Major bad set.
Well, Sean asked me to sit in, he had to down for the.
Oh,
Mark McRedmond, nice
Hi,
to
Mark.
see you.
hi, Mark.
How are you?
I don't think we need you anymore.
I'm glad to hear that, not in a bad way, but I'll
Yeah,
sit
that's
until you're
okay.
through anyway.
second round, maybe it was a motion? What was the motion? Who motioned and who seconded, please?
Let me get my,
Way too much talking, I missed it.
I have to see Oppenheimer here, look up this.
Oppenheimer was the one where the lawyer was here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
The
have. who
motion
wrote-
to,
No, I don't think we made a
to,
motion.
we made a motion
I don't
to,
think we made a motion.
No, I don't think we
that he
made a
didn't,
motion.
there was a motion that he
There's a
You
request.
didn't have to come back 30 days from now.
No, the
We would
motion.
automatic-
No, the motion.
He's challenging,
No,
We just said we were gonna review
We
it.
t-
We
we
didn't
were
make a
gonna-
there's no
motion.
motion in there?
No, there was a
no,
motion.
we were gonna review
No, there
that.
was a motion, there was a.
There was a motion to, that he didn't have to come back after 30 days.
Yes, that
That
after
we're
30
gonna
days-
automatically
that's, yeah.
renew his
Yes,
license.
that's correct.
That was a motion.
Okay, who motioned it?
I motion.
That was a motion, that was,
Who
Mac
seconded?
made the motion,
Had to be me, yeah.
and he seconded it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then
Sorry,
the
I
other
thought you were
one was
talking
that we
about-
were just gonna discuss it and let him know next month.
Thank
If
you.
we're gonna
Yes,
All right, I
thanks.
just need to.
change this, change the wording in the suspension.
You were asking about the second part originally? It doesn't matter.
There was
Yeah.
just way
Okay.
too much talking, I missed all
Yeah.
of it.
Okay.
I need your sheets.
Now, you could just sign it and I'll
Good,
just fill it out.
finish.
Yeah.
I will. What'd you do with the renewal ones? This was that renewal.
That was just
Okay.
for you. I'll,
Thank you. Okay. What's your pleasure?
I still have two, Tony, I'm sorry.
Huh?
Still have two, I'm almost done. Going quick. Get checked.
These are here.
Okay. What's your
keep
pleasure?
those with you, Anthony?
Who?
Done, Tony.
Those notes, do you wanna take them with you to review? That's Flanders. This is everything that came in.
That's Bloomberg,
tremendously.
yeah.
Yeah. Hold on to that.
I'm taking it.
Wait, do you wanna take your book as well that has everything that's in there?
No, I'm just taking this one.
Okay,
That's all I need.
you got it. Here's this as well.
You wanna keep this Bloomberg?
No, that's for him.
Oh, that's his. Okay, this we don't need. Okay. How we doing?
Couple
Andy?
more, couple more.
Well, yeah,
Sorry, I was
wanted to
engrossed in all the decisions. Jesus. I'll take one. We'll be done. Sorry, Kane, I know you gotta go. That's fine.
Here we have.
They didn't circle everything on this affidavit, but I don't think necessarily matters if the inside is fine, yeah. You didn't answer these questions. So, anything on this? The affidavit doesn't matter because that was prior to us reviewing these.
What?
The affidavit doesn't matter because it's before us
No.
reviewing these, but this is a corporation
Corporation,
that
yeah.
she didn't answer these questions. Didn't answer that on the affidavit, but then on here, says she never did. So is this redundant? It's kind of redundant here, isn't it?
Yep, yep,
So what are your thoughts?
yep. Don't matter,
Yeah.
don't matter. Okay, we have
Where's the, you
29,
took them?
29 renewals. What's your pleasure? New applications, sorry. 29 new home improvement applications. Motion,
Motion to approve?
second? I second it. All in
I said
favor?
sorry. I was just counting them.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Okay, at this time,
You need a motion to close?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Thank you.
It was approved.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, they're
Yeah, he
approved.
asked me to.
They're approved, yep.